We know 4 people have died, according to the CDC, one right here in Utah, after eating a ready-to-eat pasta meal.
The wheat was sprayed with herbicide. 10 days before it was harvested, somewhere on a farm in the northern United States or the Canadian prairies, a wheat field that will become your next box of spaghetti gets sprayed with a chemical about 10 days before the combine ever touches it, not to kill weeds, but to kill the wheat itself on purpose, because dead plants dry out faster and dry plants harvest cleaner. And the chemical doing the killing is glyphosate, the same active ingredient in Roundup, and it lands directly on a grain that is still biologically alive when the spray hits it, which means the grain absorbs it rather than just wearing it on the surface. And industry surveys out of Saskatchewan and Manitoba suggest the overwhelming majority of conventional wheat farmers in those provinces do this to nearly every acre they grow. And none of that shows up anywhere on your spaghetti box. Because in the United States, there is no legal requirement to disclose it, no separate glyphosate limit written specifically for pasta, and no easy way for you to tell, just by looking at the label, whether the durum wheat semolina in your hand grew in a country that still uses this shortcut or one that has quietly walked away from it. And that one gap in the label is the reason this video exists. Because today, we are going to walk through 6 warning signs that should make you put a box of pasta back on the shelf, and 3 specific things you can look for that mean you are holding something closer to the pasta Italians have made for 600 years. And by the end of this, you will never read a pasta ingredient list the same way again. The most surprising twist isn't the chemical spraying, it's which brands actually tested clean when independent labs checked, and it isn't the ones marketed as premium. To understand what's being cut out of a lot of modern spaghetti, you first have to understand what pasta is supposed to be. And Italy actually writes this into law, because to legally print the phrase pasta di semola di grano duro on a package sold in Italy, the dough inside can only contain 2 ingredients: durum wheat semolina and water. Nothing else. No dough conditioners, no gums, no preservatives, no blended flours to cut cost. And the wheat itself has to be durum, a dense, hard, amber-colored wheat variety that mills into a coarse, protein-rich flour rather than the soft, finely ground flour used in most bread. And America's test kitchen's own food scientists put it plainly, that some manufacturers substitute in the cheaper, more finely milled durum wheat flour instead of coarse semolina, because it costs less to produce, even though it tends to leave the finished noodle gummy and structurally weaker once it hits boiling water. And once you start reading labels with that distinction in mind, you start noticing how many boxes on an average grocery shelf never actually say 100% durum wheat semolina. They say enriched wheat flour or some blend, and enriched is a quiet tell on its own, because enrichment only exists to add back nutrients that were stripped out during refining in the first place. So before we even get to chemical residues, a huge percentage of pasta on shelves has already been engineered down from what the word originally meant. But the flour swap is the small problem. The bigger one is what's sprayed on the wheat before it's ever milled at all. Pre-harvest desiccation, spraying a living crop with glyphosate specifically to force it to dry out faster, started in Scotland in the 1980s as a workaround for wet, unpredictable harvest weather, and it migrated quickly into the wheat, oat, and barley belts of the northern United States and Canada, where short growing seasons make uneven field drying a real logistical headache for farmers. And it is specifically hard red spring wheat and durum wheat, the exact wheat varieties used to make spaghetti, that are the most likely candidates for this treatment because of where and how they're grown. And studies tracking where the residue actually ends up inside the grain have found it concentrates in the bran, meaning whole grain and semolina-style products. The coarser, less refined cuts of the wheat berry that pasta is made from are more likely to carry residue than heavily refined white flour, which testing found close to residue-free. And consumer advocacy groups estimate glyphosate turns up in the majority of Americans tested, with wheat-based foods identified as one of the primary dietary entry points alongside oats. And here's the part that should actually bother you. This entire practice is completely legal. The residue levels detected in most testing fall under the maximum limits regulators currently allow, which means a box of spaghetti can carry measurable glyphosate and still be sold as perfectly compliant, safe, everyday food. So if the chemical spraying is legal and the label doesn't have to mention it, who is actually checking any of this before it reaches your pantry? This is where the system quietly fails you, because the certifications people assume protect them often don't cover the thing they're actually worried about. The non-GMO project verified seal, for example, only confirms a crop wasn't genetically engineered. It says nothing whatsoever about whether that same crop was sprayed with glyphosate as a desiccant a week before harvest. So a bag of non-GMO oats or wheat can carry that seal and still have been chemically dried down right before the combine rolled through. And USDA Organic is the one label that actually closes that loophole. Because certified organic wheat cannot legally be sprayed with glyphosate at any stage, pre-harvest or otherwise, but organic pasta is still a small fraction of what's on most shelves. And the gap gets even wider once you move into the gluten-free and alternative pasta aisle, where cassava flour has exploded in popularity as a grain-free swap. And when Consumer Reports actually tested 27 cassava-based products across chips, bread, and pasta, more than 2/3 of them contained lead levels that exceeded the threshold CR's own food safety scientists use for an acceptable daily intake, in some cases by more than 2,000% over that line. And the researchers involved were clear that nothing about the cassava plant biologically pulls in more lead than other root vegetables. The contamination traces back to where it was grown and how it was processed, not the ingredient itself, meaning the healthy swap marketing on that box can hide the exact toxicant risk a shopper picked that product to avoid in the first place. Now here's where independent lab testing actually found something that contradicts the doom narrative, and it changes which brands you should be looking at. In a consumer study run in partnership between Mamavation and Environmental Health News, researchers sent 8 pasta products from 4 popular brands to an EPA-certified laboratory, specifically checking for organic fluorine, the chemical signature of PFAS, the so-called forever chemicals linked to a long list of serious health effects. And the result, across every single one of those 8 samples, was 0 detections, meaning none of the pasta tested showed evidence of PFAS contamination at all. And the specific products that came back clean and happened to also carry USDA organic certification, which meaningfully lowers pesticide and desiccation risk, included Rao's homemade traditionally crafted spaghetti, De Cecco's spaghetti number 12, and Rumo's spaghetti number 3, along with its gluten-free rice and corn version. And separately, DeLallo's organic artisan spaghetti has built its identity specifically around the traditional Italian process: bronze dye extrusion and slow, low-temperature drying. The exact methods the original Italian legal standard for pasta was built around in the first place. And that gives you a genuinely useful shortcut for the next time you're standing in the pasta aisle, confused by 15 nearly identical boxes. Because real pasta, by the original definition, comes down to 3 checkable things. First, the ingredient list says only durum wheat, semolina and water with nothing else added. Second, there's an organic certification on the front, which legally rules out glyphosate desiccation at any stage of growing. And third, the packaging mentions bronze dye extrusion or artisan slow drying rather than industrial high heat processing. And if a box checks even 2 of those 3 boxes, you are statistically looking at something much closer to what pasta was originally supposed to be than the average enriched, conventionally grown, high-speed dried spaghetti sitting 3 feet away on the same shelf. But before you assume organic and bronze dye solves everything, there's a limitation to this testing that nobody selling you clean label pasta wants to advertise. Here's the honest complication: that Mamavation testing was explicitly labeled a spot check of 8 products from 4 brands, not a comprehensive survey of the pasta aisle. And the researchers themselves stated plainly that they cannot make predictions about brands and products they never actually tested, and that tests also only screened for PFAS through fluorine detection. it did not separately test those same boxes for glyphosate residue, meaning a product can be completely clean on the forever chemicals front and still carry pesticide residue from pre-harvest desiccation that nobody checked for in that particular study. And layered on top of that, there is currently no comprehensive, legally enforced heavy metal or glyphosate limit written specifically for adult pasta products in the United States, the way there increasingly is for baby food. So even a fully organic bronze dye, semolina and water box of spaghetti is operating inside a regulatory system with real, acknowledged gaps rather than an airtight one. Which means the 6 red flags in this video, non-organic sourcing with no origin transparency, durum wheat flour subbed in for semolina, cassava or unverified alternative grain bases, vague non-GMO labeling used as if it covers pesticides, enriched refined flour as the first ingredient, and industrial high-heat drying with no bronze dye mention are genuinely useful filters, but they are risk reducers, not guarantees. And the honest answer to which spaghetti is completely safe is still, right now, unresolved. So the next time you're standing over that pantry shelf, the question isn't really which brand is the villain, it's whether the box in your hand can actually prove, in its own ingredient list and its own certifications, that it skipped the shortcuts the industry has quietly normalized for decades and for most of the pasta aisle. Right now, it still can't. If you want to see exactly how these same industrial shortcuts show up in your bread and cereal, the video linked on screen right now breaks that down next.